Crime at Destiny USA has ramped up over the course of the past few months, but the truth is, crime is happening all across Syracuse, not just at Destiny USA. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hall. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We've heard from local leaders in our community about proposed solutions to this problem, but in order to solve it, we have to understand why crime is happening in the first place. Our Samantha Crossan spoke with a criminal psychologist that has experience working with criminals. She has new details for us tonight.
The criminal psychologist I spoke with says there are various reasons why someone might be willing to commit a crime. This could be because of lack of family support or economic status, but at the end of the day, all of these factors, they trace back to identity, which ultimately determines whether someone would be willing to commit a crime or not. Dr. Eric Hickey says while some people are quick to blame crime on guns, he focuses on why certain people are willing to use them to commit crimes in the first place.
I think in the past few years with the pandemic, it has created almost a sense of anomie, a sense of normlessness, where people are not comfortable with themselves anymore. They don't really know what the rules are.
One factor is parental support or lack thereof.
Right? There's no guarantee if you're a good parent, you won't have a child that turns out poorly, but usually you're much more likely to have children who will go straight if they're raised in good environments.
Dr. Hickey says that for younger kids, the willingness to commit crimes increases if they are surrounded by other criminals.
They've seen other people do it. They've heard about other people getting away with it. Some of the older kids, they're emboldened by it.
For some criminals, the possibility of receiving attention is appealing.
Yes, they get to be on television. You get to talk about them, and they get to be famous or infamous. Hey, look, I made the news, and I'm somebody.
Dr. Hickey says that 5% of the population does 95% of the crime, and that recidivism rates, or the tendency for convicted criminals to reoffend, is high in the United States. In a study conducted by the Bureau of Justice in 2012, 71% of prisoners were rearrested within 5 years of being released. Hickey says that for some, being a criminal is a core part of who they are.
There are people who go to prison, they have relatives there. They have friends. It's home for them. It's not punishment. It's, I'm back home again. I'll be here for a couple of years. I'll do my time. I'll get out. And I'm still connected to people in the prison.
One thing Dr. Hickey emphasizes is that parents, teachers, and other important figures in a child's life have to be emphasizing the importance of education early on so that a child can get a sense of what their life could be and what they could accomplish.
New this morning, more than 1 million Ukrainians have fled to Poland for protection and escape from the Russian invasion. They are bordering countries with similar stories resonating 4,000 miles away here in central New York. This morning, the Syracuse Polish Home opening its doors to any Ukrainian refugee and reflecting on a century-long history that rose from the ashes of war.
Uncle, grandfather on there.
A wall of honor for their sacrifice and bravery. Each name individually placed to remember Polish Americans who fought in World War II.
We know the story. We know the history.
The German invasion of Poland, a reminder to Syracuse Polish Home President Robert Synikowski of what war can do to a country as they watch the Russian destruction of Ukraine.
We were in the same spot in 1939 when Hitler invaded Poland.
The stories of survival passed down from generation to generation. Millions of soldiers and Polish citizens killed. The rest of the population forced to flee.
My great-grandmother, I remember, she used to say that she'd wake up in a different country every few days.
100 years later, the Polish home remains on Park Avenue, a symbol of pride and freedom since 1919.
My family came from southeastern Poland, had the Polish church, the Ukrainian church, and the synagogue in the same village. That was very prevalent around there, so we're really the same people.
Yeah. I know Ukrainians. They're fantastic people.
Born in 1931, military veteran Theodore Zamoski has been coming here for more than 50 years.
We're really overwhelmed and appreciative of the fact that the Polish people are receptive and accepting all these immigrants and having these people who are without shelter, who are devastated because of somebody like Putin.
War is not the answer. It's just not the way to do things. Because all the people that are being hurt, being killed, that's just senseless.
History unfolding again in Eastern Europe, while also repeating its past. Enough reason for these descendants of Poland to open their hearts and wallets, coming together to donate hundreds of dollars to help Ukraine.
To the Ukrainians in Syracuse and all around the world, from the Syracuse Polish Home, jesteśmy z wami, my z tobою.
Joining us this morning is Lieutenant Malinowski. Good morning, Lieutenant.
Morning.
Our first topic of discussion, there has been a lot of crime in Syracuse, and not only in Syracuse, but the outskirts as well. Top headlines this week in regards to crime was the 12-year-old arrested in connection to the armed robbery of Julie Boeheim. And then also this week, a 16-year-old arrested by Syracuse police driving a stolen car. Another top headline happening this week as well, a stabbing near Henniger High School. And also this week, happening not in Syracuse, a man arrested 3 times for stealing 3 different cars out of DeWitt and East Syracuse. Lieutenant Malinowski, this morning, people are frustrated. Can you describe to us what police are seeing and how police are trying to curb this violence?
Well, I'm glad to know that people are frustrated. That's a message we've been echoing for months, that some of these reforms, we really have to make sure we look at them, maybe look some over. Have they gone too far? We are baffled that we're continuing to arrest people and then they get re-released on the street just to commit more crime. It's kind of, there's 2 things going on when we look at the bail reform. We don't want someone sitting obviously in jail because they can't afford to make bail and get an opportunity to have a fair trial. We understand that. But what we're really advocating for is the repeat violent offenders who are a threat to our community. We can't understand why they keep getting let on the streets. I think collectively we can agree that if someone's a threat to the community, they should be locked separate from us so they can't cause more harm. And then the juvenile justice reform, we continue to see our suspects and victims of crime getting younger and younger. We can see the juveniles have been committing crimes, getting released on appearance tickets, committing more crimes. The one that happened at the mall involving a 12-year-old, since November, we've been arrested 6 times. I think if you look at some of the information we're putting out, it doesn't seem like the system is working as well as it should be.
Destiny USA also making headlines not once, but several times this year already. Shootings in the bathroom, stabbings happening, another shooting, an armed robbery. And can you talk to us about this recent conversation with Destiny in regards to upgrades and security?
So we had a really productive meeting with the mall management, and we had some senior officials from our agency to really talk about, the recent incidents and then the plan for the future. One of the biggest things from the police department side of things, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing, working with our other law enforcement partners, here that probation, parole, maybe in there, some of the community organizations that we have in there. And we really want to just identify those bad actors who are there to cause harm and get them out before anything happens, and continue just to work with the mall on improving security features at the mall.
And now it's time for a tip of the week. This will be a very busy weekend as the St. Patrick's Parade is taking place, but the enforcement is for the entire weekend.
Yes, in an effort to keep our streets safe, keep our community safe, we have stepped up DWI enforcement during this holiday. So we would just ask people, please, as a police department, we just want you to be safe. Plan ahead, get a ride. It's hard if you've already had too much to drink. It will affect your decision making. So make that plan ahead of time. And we just want everyone to make sure that you have a good time, but safety is still on the forefront of your mind.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Lieutenant Malinowski.